it was that swaying, that adapting, being flexible, allowing ourselves time to heal and deal with the trauma of it, because it played on both our minds that the police and doctors said we really shouldn't have walked away from that situation. They were quite amazed. So processing ourselves, looking after my young son, looking after my elder daughter, it shifted how we lived our lives. And when the pandemic rolled in the year after, or 6 months later, and brought all manner of new shocks and trauma, we were sort of already in that mindset of, okay.
I think you're right, James. It was a bit of a dry run, but what a terrible dry run and experience. But thank the Lord you're here to tell the tale. But what I loved about what you were saying there is that you find new ways. So actually, when we're in that flux of resilience, we're innovative and we find solutions. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for that strength and that grit and that determination to do so, and just to keep on going. So let's, we don't need to fast forward too much from your story of resilience with a newborn baby and another child to deal with while you're recovering yourself. But let's fast forward to the last year and look back, fast forward, look back. It's a bit of a dichotomy there. How has that been for you? And how did you use the experience of the birth of your son to get you through the last, well, it's about 15 months or so now?
Well, it's obviously, he hasn't gone away. The raising the baby is still a pretty crucial part of our lives, and was quite key during these lockdowns. It was a huge factor of having to look after the children whilst carrying on with work, because my wife's a key worker herself once she was fit and back on her feet. The two sort of blended into each other experiences, but there's obvious and immediate lessons that carried over, because everyone's using Zoom, Teams, Skype these days, but we'd been forced to adopt that 6 months before. That was part of one of the changes that we made was, I can't be shooting down to London every week from where we live to meet with people. So we're already kind of established a remote working setup, and the rest of the country's followed suit. So that some aspects are directly transferable.
Yeah.
But the biggest challenge and the biggest difference was the specific nature of my job, of what I was doing professionally, drawing cartoons, stayed pretty much the same after my car accident. But when the pandemic arrived and the 15 months since, it's been quite a different experience, because there've been a lot of specific requests for cartoons to boost morale, and to help other people cope and deal with what they're going through. And it's quite a different thing to approach, because a lot of the time my job is to knock people down. I have to say that it is the responsibility of the cartoonist to take people in power, or with the power, the fame, and the money, and to remind them, to put them in their place and remind them they're not better than the rest of us.
I love it. The irony of it all, isn't it? It's so funny. Yeah, and that in itself is funny. So there's a cartoon for you, James. And that in itself, the cartoon, cartoonists being part of the cartoon. There you go. There's a challenge for you. I love it. I love it, you know, and absolutely, you know, and look, I've been having a lot of these conversations, and one of the things that does come through, and I know it from own personal experience, is you need humour. When we're in darkness, you need humour. You know, I remember my father's deathbed. We're having a sing-song. We're having a Glaswegian sing-song. The priest comes in to give him the last rites and looks at us. We weren't even singing hymns. You know, we're singing Good Old When the Red, Red Robin. So you have got to find the humour, because that's what keeps you sane. That's what keeps you grounded, you know, because yes, when things are terrible, and even in death, things are terrible, you've got to find something that allows you to bounce and move forward, you know. So the job you do is phenomenal. So just one more question then, well, maybe two. So in the last year, this is me being curious, is what cartoon have you drawn in the last year or so in COVID that's really made you think, yeah, that was well needed? Is that a tough question?
It's a tough one. I know the one that springs to mind is actually from well before the pandemic really hit this country, back when it was just a kind of a rumor from the far side of the world. And I drew a cartoon about some Chinese security guards telling a bunch of people to keep quiet about this, and yeah, the gist of it being this was a much bigger story than they were letting on. And lo and behold, the whole world has changed, and that particular cartoon went on to be nominated for awards, and it's probably the only kind of prophetic.
That's what I was about to say.
I've ever got right.
Right. That was a word that was in my head. I was thinking, my God, you're prophesying, you know, fortune teller, James Mellor, fortune teller, you know. But anyway, so let's move on now. James, last question. How are you going to use all of this amazing, you know, resilience, muscle, and learning to help you move forward now as we come out of lockdown?
I think one of the key things for me when it came to the lockdown, and as I said, that having to work in a new way and make changes to cope, was that I just did not have the same number of hours in the day that I used to, and my drawing, my creative work, I could not give it the same attention that I once did, and it has been so much better for it. That
love it.
I was clearly overthinking, over analyzing a lot of what I did, and actually just getting pen on paper and getting ideas out there, even if they're not perfect and polished. I have had so much more success when I have given myself a shorter time frame, rather than spending hours going over the same thing, trying to perfect it just the way I'd like it. Just get it on paper and get it out and see what people make of it.
Do you know what, James? That is music to my ears. Thank you very much, James, for giving up your time today. I know you're a busy man to come and share your 10-minute story. We may have gone over, but hey ho. The stories are just so amazing that we've just got to go. I don't know how the TV keeps to their schedules, because it's quite challenging. So James, thank you very much for being our newfound hero in Resilient Voices, and you are definitely a hero in many people's eyes. So everybody, thank you very much. This is Brenda saying, be brilliant. Much love, and until the next time,
Thanks for having me.